The dad bod. Is it just a trend or is it a red flag about men's wellness that we need to talk about? What's up, family, and welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Wellness Podcast. It's your girl, Cori, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that sparks debate pretty much everywhere, and that is the dad bod. Yeah, that body shape that becomes trendy, meme-worthy, and controversial all at once. But here's the thing, health is so much more than just aesthetics. So in this episode, we're breaking down what a dad bod really is, the health realities behind it, and how men can stay well without chasing a six-pack necessarily. But before we jump into today's topic, I want to pause and say thank you. Thank you to every man who is listening, not just because you care about how you look, but because you care about how you feel and how long you get to enjoy this life with your loved ones. And thank you to the women and to the families who are supporting those men, encouraging healthier choices and reminding them that wellness is about much more than a body type. I'm grateful that we get to have this honest conversation together, and I hope it sparks a new way of thinking about health and self-care. Y'all know that was probably a little more than 30 seconds of gratitude, and it's all good. So let's get into today's episode. So, the dad bod. It's typically a body with some extra weight around the midsection area, sometimes softer muscles, not as ripped as Instagram models, but here's the truth. A dad bod doesn't automatically equal unhealthy. And a six-pack doesn't automatically equal healthy either. Research shows that moderate body fat in men, especially after age 35, can be normal, as long as the man's other markers in the body, like blood pressure, cholesterol, and heart health, are in check. So why the obsession with the aesthetics, we may all ask, but we all know the answer to that. Social media, Hollywood images, and other cultural pressures often skew our perception of health. I can tell you as a health coach that some of my healthiest clients have not been size 2s. When we're talking about women, some of my healthiest clients when it came to men have not been the ripped six packs or the defined arms. Again, the markers for healthy are not always about what something looks like. Looks are just, I guess, an added bonus. All right, so let's talk a little bit about health versus appearance. Cardiovascular health, that is your heart health. So things like your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and your heart function matter more than the size of your waistline. Now, let's not get that skewed though, because around the waistline, the heavier the waistline, the more fat there, it does make you have a higher risk at times of issues with your heart. So you want to be careful and make sure that you are monitoring that total body fat as best as you can. Okay. So be careful about that. Also, metabolic health. And that is your insulin sensitivity, your blood sugar levels, and your body composition. They're also very critical because what may work for a man who may be 6'2" and 260, that 6'2", 260 is going to look much different than a 5'8", 260. So the composition of the body and the distribution of the weight and the total body fat and the muscle will be distributed differently for someone who is not as tall. So you want to make sure that you know what those baselines are for your specific body composition. And also your strength and mobility play a huge role, right? So you want to ask yourself, can you lift? Meaning, can you lift things like a table? Can you lift chairs? Can you move? Can you lift weights? Can you move? Can you go on the treadmill? Can you walk? Can you run? And recover from activity normally. All right, let's be clear. I had an episode about this and I talked about this. Recovery after 40 looks way different than recovery before 40. I have this conversation with my son, who's a boxer, all the time because I am one of his trainers and I physically train him. So, like I told him, you know, what I need to do before we begin training, I take the time to do it before, and I have to take the time to recover and to stretch properly after, because that recovery is way different for me than it is for you at 20, right? Like, I cannot just jump up like, okay, all right, it's over. And no, listen, I'll be laid up somewhere, balled up like a piece of tissue if I don't do what I need to do and recover properly. So if you can do those things, there's more, they are more predictive of the longevity than the visible abs will be if you are better able to do those things. Because there are some folks that, again, they've got those abs, but they don't have mobility and flexibility within their bodies. So their joints are stiff and it's painful for them. So, yeah, those are some of the things that you want to take into account when you start talking about the health versus the aesthetic of things. Because studies show that men with a bit more body fat, but good cardiovascular and metabolic health can live just as long and sometimes even longer than leaner men with poor lifestyle habits. Again, it goes back to those lifestyle habits that I talked about in the previous episodes. Lifestyle habits are going to be key regardless of what your size is or how large or small your waistline is. All right, let's get into some practical wellness tips because y'all know that's what I'm all about around here. So get your pen and piece of paper and let's go. All right, so whether you are rocking a dad bod or just in the thick of busy life, here are some ways to prioritize your wellness beyond just aesthetics. Number one, you want to move daily. We talked about this when we talked about the heart health episode. We talked about 150 minutes per week of moderate to heavy activity. So that means just 30 minutes, 5 days a week is what we're aiming for. Strength training, cardio, stretching. Consistency is going to be intensity every single time. Like I said, I'm going to have an episode where I'm going to be talking all about consistency and how to build consistent habits next season, at the top of next season, because it is something that I get asked all the time. Small habits that are done repeatedly over time builds a habit. So, like, for example, when we get up to brush our teeth in the morning, it is autopilot. Brushing our teeth, we don't need anybody to motivate us to brush our teeth. At least I hope not. But it is an autopilot activity because you've been doing it for so long without prompting. It is a habit. The same thing can be said for your habits when it comes to your wellness and your health. You find these small things that you do, and if you consistently do those, it becomes a habit very quickly and it becomes a part of your daily lifestyle. Number two, balanced nutrition. Again, I know sometimes it's going to sound like we're beating a dead horse, but it is that serious. Focus on whole vegetables and fruits, lean proteins, whole grains, healthy fats. Your healthy fats are going to be those avocados, they're going to be those olive oils. Focus on those things because, again, 80%, 80 to 90% of your daily diet, of your daily caloric value, what you're taking into your body should be those foods, a whole healthy diet, right? That 10 to 20%, that is reserved for your daily treats, if that's what you want. Again, not everybody even wants that every day. But if you focus on that balanced nutrition, it's going to give your body what you need. So your body is more likely than not going to be deficient in some of the things that your body is going to require to keep your body operating at its optimal level. Number three, again, we are talking about the rock star of it all, and that is sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep every night, because poor good sleep, poor sleep, regardless of what kind of sleep you are getting, it affects your hormones. It affects your ability to recover from stress. It affects your ability to recover from physical activity. and it affects your mental health. The better quality sleep, the more sleep you're getting, your hormones are going to be more balanced. You're going to be able to recover more easily, and your mental health is going to be more stable. You're going to have more clarity, less brain fog. That's all I'm going to say about that. We're moving on. Number 4, we are talking about stress management. Again, we have touched on this. We are talking about breath work. We've talked about the Take 5 method. If you missed that, go back and check yesterday's episode. It is in there. I give an entire breakdown on what the Take 5 method is and how to do it. Meditation, I explained what meditation is and how great it is and the benefits of for you mentally and for your stress levels. Hobbies. Do not forget about hobbies. I have an episode probably like 3 seasons back where I talked about how hobbies are good for your mental health. Because, as adults, a lot of us, we push our hobbies to the side and we forget all about them once we become adults and life start life and then we start having responsibilities. We forget about the things that we love to do as kids. Like, I love to do Legos. It's so much fun. And when I have time to do them, I do them. I love to color. I love to craft. I love to crochet. Those are things that actually are really good for my mental health, and they actually bring a sense of calm and relaxation for me. So don't forget about your hobbies. And if you have, like, sit down and think about what it is that you enjoy doing. Some people like to tinker with cars. Some people love coloring books, crossword puzzles, like all of those things. Like, find a way to incorporate that in, even if it's just like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, it will do wonders. You'll be amazed because mental wellness supports your physical health. Because if you mentally don't feel well, if you're stressed and you've got high levels of anxiety or you feel depressed, the last thing you want to do is any of the other things that I just talked about. You don't care about what you're eating. You're going to just eat so you're not hungry. You're not going to be able to sleep well. And you're certainly not going to feel like exercising. And number 5, we are talking right back around, going right back around, circling around to checkups. Make sure that you know what your baseline blood pressure is, your baseline cholesterol, what your glucose levels are, and your BMI, right? Because those are better health indicators than just what you look like alone. Because again, like for my body weight, what I weigh for my height, my BMI is considered high because naturally it's just the way I'm made. I can't help that. However, my other indicators, such as my glucose, my cholesterol, my blood pressure, are amazing. Chef's kiss. I don't have any issues there. So, yeah, make sure that you know what those are because health is holistic. So, a 6-pack is not going to save you if your heart, your mind, and your joints are struggling. I'm just saying. Finally, let's address the social pressure. Now, this is not just for men because my husband and I had this conversation the other day about the societal pressures of aging. And, I've heard many men say that they often feel judged by their appearance, especially in social and dating spaces. But it's important to understand that health is personal, it's functional, and it is sustainable, but it's going to look different for everybody. So learning how to embrace your body as you are and celebrating any progress, whether it's you got your cholesterol down or you got your blood pressure down or you swapped out one ingredient for another ingredient that may be a little bit more healthier, that is a milestone. That's progress. And focusing on your wellness routines, it's going to carry you much further than chasing aesthetics alone. Because at some point in time, like ain't none of us fitting to be super fine. Probably at 90. Like that's just not how this works. We are all going to get older and looks are going to fade. So, but what will keep you alive and what will keep you around longer is going to be a healthy heart, healthy joints, because you're going to be up moving, feeling good. You won't be too tired and too stiff to enjoy life, long after it's like, okay, what I look like really don't matter that much no more. Because this is about confidence, vitality, and longevity, not necessarily Instagram likes. And now, so circling back to the societal pressures of how a person looks, like I stated before, my husband and I talked about it, and I told him, in some ways, I feel like that men are more acceptable as they get older because their beards are considered sexy. And I know I think beards are absolutely sexy. Lord. Anyway, beards are sexy, the men shaving their heads and bald heads, those are sexy. And like, because the men seem more confident and more established oftentimes in their bodies, and they're just like, listen, this is what it is. It is the women oftentimes, I feel like, are, once we hit 40, sometimes I feel like they've tried to put us out to pasture as though we aren't sexy or beautiful or desirable anymore. But I wanted to tell both men and women, like, listen, I'm gonna just tell y'all something right now. Us over 40 club, we are out here slaying them, okay? Listen, I don't know what to say, but all I know is that the people in my circle, baby, boy, we making 40 and up look real good, okay? But anyway, before I close out the show, I do want to touch on the fact that I talked about making health swaps. I have created something called a free holistic nutrition cheat sheet, and you can swap out some ingredients in there. It's actually a hormone supporting cheat sheet where you can find some ingredients where you can swap out one thing for another, and it's a healthier option so that it can help you to get a better balance on your hormones. It's really quick. I'm going to leave the link to it in the show notes of this episode, along with the other resources that I leave in every episode for you guys to check out. So if you guys would like to grab a hold of that and just get it and take a look at it and see how easy it is to make some swaps, that'll be great. So I'll leave that in the show notes. But anyway, the dad bod debate isn't about memes or trends, and it's going to continue on. So, well, what it is about is real health and realistic expectations, at least from my view. So, if you or a man in your life is stressing about appearance over function, please share this episode with him. Please share this episode with him so that he can understand that it is far more important to be functional and have healthy organs than it is to be looking like something on the outside. Because at the end of the day, like I said, looks fade. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. If you're listening over on your favorite podcast streaming platform, please subscribe to the show. Leave the show a rating. I would love it. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. You can go to my website, themelaninwellnesspodcast.com, and leave me a comment through our contact page. I would love to hear from you because I will read comments online. I'll read them on the show and stuff. Get you a shout out and stuff. I love hearing from you guys. You guys don't know what it does for my soul and my spirit to hear from you guys. And also, if you're watching over on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. I have been having a ball with you all over there on YouTube. So yeah, but don't forget, family, the health is more than what you see in the mirror. Take care of your heart, your body, and your mind, because that's the real glow up. All right, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care, family.